So now that we are really far into the summer hiatus of the Arrowverse shows, I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about who I think the villain for season 6 of The Flash is going to be, or the big bad. I did one of these for Arrow for its final season, and unlike with the Arrow video where we really had no idea who is going to be the big bad of the show, with The Flash we do have some information on who the big bad is going to be. Basically, it's going to be a new type of villain, someone very different. The writers and the casting people are looking for a male and diverse actor for to play the role. They have a very specific person or a big bad in mind, and he's supposed to be someone very different than what we've seen before. That really doesn't give us much to go off of. Originally, I would have said that the season 6 villain would be a speedster. And it's possible it'll still be a speedster, but the fact that it's supposed to be someone completely new, completely different, someone who will terrorize Barry in new ways, makes me think they're going to go for more of a DeVoe or Cicada approach, which is upsetting considering that they were, in my opinion, the weakest Flash villains yet. But first off, every prior season has given us some inclination of who the villain is going to be from the season final. Season 1 season final opened up the portal, which opened up Earth 2, so we got little hints that that the big bad will be coming from the black hole. In season 2, with the whole time travel flashpoint stuff at the end, we got a hint that the villain will be time travel related, such as Savitar. At the end of season 3, we kept getting name drops of DeVoe from villains, saying like he was one of Flash's greatest villains, which led to DeVoe being the big bad in season 4. But season 4 didn't really give us anything to imply Cicada would be showing up. And then season 5 honestly did give us something. It gave us a lot of Reverse Flash hints, and I would have thought that Reverse Flash would be the villain for the season, especially since he's such a big... all of season 5, in my opinion, was set up for Reverse Flash being a villain again. And especially since we know he's so influential to Crisis this year, that I thought it was a no-brainer that he would be the big bad in some form, but the fact that they are looking for someone completely new strikes me that it's not him. Other possibilities are Godspeed and Red Death, who are speedsters who wear... Godspeed was seen this season in The Flash. He's a villain the fans have been waiting for a long time. And Red Death was name-dropped, who is a very interesting villain in the comics. He's just an evil Bruce Wayne, who is like a Punisher version of Bruce Wayne, who has the abilities of the Flash. It would be interesting to see something like that, maybe using the Oliver Queen take, or just something different, just be Barry Allen from a different Earth maybe. But again, this doesn't fit what they are asking for the who they want the cast as the big bad, I guess. So I'm trying to say here. Godspeed is possible, because we didn't see his face, we just heard him talk, so it's completely possible that they are going to cast someone to play Godspeed under the mask. But I don't think this is likely. I think if Godspeed was going to be the villain next year, they would have given him a much better first episode, because, to be honest, the episode he appeared in this season wasn't very good. He got punked by Nora pretty easily, and he was just an all-around underwhelming villain. He didn't feel any different from most of the other one-off villains we've seen, so I would rather they didn't turn him into a big bad, just it wouldn't suit. Someone who I thought was really likely before we got this first news about the villain was Mirror Master. The Mirror Master Sam Shudder was already in season 3, I believe, of the show, and the fact that the way they defeated Cicada was so linked to the Mirror Gun, which is Mirror Master's weapon, I thought this was somehow giving us little hints that Mirror Master was going to be the big bad of season 6. But again, we've already seen that character, we already know who he's played by, and he doesn't fit what the information we have on the big bad is going to be. So the real question is, who is it? If it can't be any of the people I already mentioned, who is it? Well, it's probably going to be a villain that comic book fans will recognize, because every villain we've had so far has been someone who is linked to the comics. Savitar is probably the one that was most different from the comics, but he was still linked to a comic book character. And the show has already run through so many Flash villains. Like, there are very few big-ish Flash villains that we haven't seen in the show yet in some form, and due to this supposedly being a completely new character, it's got to be someone that we haven't even heard of, in my opinion. We've went through pretty much all of the big rogues: Golden Glider, Captain Cold, Heatwave, the Trickster, the Mayormaster. It's completely possible that we could see a different version of Mayormaster, such as Evan McCullough, who is another big person who takes on the mantle of Mayormaster. We have actually heard him referenced on the show before, as it was referenced that he was actually the Mayormaster on Earth 2, but assuming that the villain is going to be an Earth 1 based character, it's possible that we could see the Evan McCullough of Earth 1 be the villain for next season. Which I would be okay with. Mayormaster is one of my favourite Flash villains, and he's just an all-round cool character. I'd be definitely okay with us seeing him be the big bad of Season 6. The fact that the bosses of the CW show said that they're looking for someone diverse to play the role doesn't really give us anything, because very regularly the CW changes up people they want. Like, they change what the character traditionally is in the comics, such as Iris and Wally were both changed for the show. Right there, so calling it diverse really doesn't narrow it down at all. It could still be anyone who we haven't seen yet. It's possible we could see a character like Turbine, who was a character who was caught in the Speed Force for several decades, and he wanted to escape the Speed Force, even if it was at the cost of Barry Allen's life. It's possible we could see someone like that, especially when we know the negative Speed Force is probably coming back into play after it was a big part of this season. So it's possible that the Turbine could be a character from the negative Speed Force. A really interesting character we could see could be Cobalt Blue, who a lot of fans will recognize that name. Even people who haven't read the comics probably recognize Cobalt Blue, mainly because he was theorized as being in this show a long time ago, when Eddie Thawne got sucked into the black hole in the middle of Central City. It was theorized that he would come back as Cobalt Blue, who is, in the comics, Malcolm Thawne, who is Barry Allen's twin brother. It's possible they could change it up completely, make him unrelated to Barry, and use the character in some form, which I'd be okay with. I think Cobalt Blue is a pretty interesting character. The only problem is that, again, it doesn't fit the whole different new character kind of thing that a speedster would bring, unless they take a completely different approach to a speedster, which would be awesome. I think they could definitely do cool things with that. I would have preferred them to do Eddie Thawne as being Cobalt Blue, but if they don't, then I'm okay with a new iteration of the character. Anyway, that's kind of all I can kind of dig into. There's a ton more Flash characters, but they're ones that I don't think would really fit, in my opinion, so I thought I'd go over just a couple random options like Turbine, Cobalt Blue, and talk about how likely the other ones are, like Red Death, Godspeed, Reverse Flash. But what do you think? Who would you like to see be the villain of Season 6? And if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I hope you have an awesome day.